says, love my Versace cologne.
The governor and the mayor have walked in, and they're like, what kind of a program are we being asked to participate in
See, this
today?
is much different than your typical newscast. I know we chatted with you on AZAM not too long ago. Good morning, Governor. Nice to see you, John.
You guys
nice
can
to
both
see you.
relax. We're not going to ask you what deodorant you wear.
Unless you really want to share.
We've had you on so many times. We appreciate you coming again today as we get closer to Election Day. John Giles is here. I'll have to shake your hand.
Ron, the unofficial mayor of Mesa.
I know.
It's nice to visit you.
Governor-
Were you offended when that line came out?
No.
Oh, no. He supported it.
Yeah,
fully.
absolutely.
Governor, here's my favorite story. So I'm walking Mayor Giles out of the studio here. This would have been about, 4 or 5 years ago. And I said, we moved. And he stopped in his tracks and he said, you can't leave Mesa. And I said, no, we moved 25 minutes away. But we're still in Mesa.
There you go.
How about that?
There you go.
It's a big city.
Why did you choose John Giles for your running mate?
I chose John Giles because he shares my commitment to putting politics aside and delivering for the people that we represent. We're from different political parties, but we both believe that leadership is about bringing people together, solving tough challenges, and delivering for the people that we serve. And I've seen him. This is how he governed when he was mayor of Mesa, and I'm excited to work together with him to help lead the state.
I know you guys agree on a lot of issues. I think you both have worked with other leaders from other parties, been able to cross party lines. Is there an area where you disagree on certain issues or slightly, or where you're like, I really want to focus on this, or I really want to focose on this?
I don't think we found one.
Well, I'm sure if we, really dug deep, of course, we're different people, obviously.
Right.
But the thing, for example, when I was Mayor of Mesa, I had people on my city council that were progressive Democrats and that were conservative Republicans, and it just didn't matter because we focused on what was in the center, we focused what was on our plate, we focused on filling potholes, and so we just never got around, to exploring, well, what could we really piss each other off about if we wanted to?
And nobody likes potholes.
Yeah, that's
then
right.
you got to get new tires.
That's
and
right. Unanimous.
Another,
It's like the one issue, 100% approval rating. Get rid of them. Yeah. But what about abortion? Spell out just, in a paragraph or two, each of your positions on abortion.
Well, I was proud to repeal our state's 1864 total abortion ban and then work to help pass Prop 139 in 2024, which protects abortion in the state's constitution. And I can say for anyone who has concerns that protecting reproductive freedom in Arizona is a non-negotiable for me. And it was a non-negotiable for me when I was looking at who I wanted to pick as my running mate.
John Giles.
Well, very similar. Prop 139 solved a serious problem we had in our state with the Dobbs decision, and we were back, to really a pre-state, over 160-year-old law that was an absolute ban. That was not a tenable position for the state of Arizona, and so the people of Arizona created an initiative, and they overwhelmingly supported it. I voted in favor of it. I thought it was a good solution. It accurately reflected my personal views on the topic. And so, like the governor, I am committed to preserving and protecting that citizen-led initiative that I think is a good rule for Arizona.
What about ESAs? Let's start with you, John.
By the way, we have a minute to the break, so
okay.
Go for it.
Well,
we killed the break. Go as long as you. What politician doesn't want to hear go as long as you want? But seriously, we're wondering.
I'll try to. I could talk quite a bit on this, but I'll try to be concise. I am a public school brat. Okay, my dad was an elementary school principal in Mesa for 30 years. My mom was a school teacher. My children are public school principals and teachers. And so when we gather together every Sunday for dinner, this is what we talk about. And I absolutely support school choice, but for there to be meaningful school choice, you've got to have strong public schools. And so I think the ESA program, the way it is now, I support. Letting parents choose where they want their children to go. I think that's critical. Would never want to infringe on that. But the program right now is irresponsible. There's vast amounts of waste involved in it. We need to not have a different standard for non-public school funding than we have for public school funding.
The governor has been pretty vocal, though, about income limits for parents whose kids are in ESA programs. What's your position on that?
Well, I think that the stated goal of the ESA program was to help low-income families to be able to compete and go to a school that is a high-quality school. So if that's the purpose of it, then it ought to apply to low-income families. That makes sense.
Okay. Boy, we have a long list of questions to get to here, but can I just ask one more quick question? We always say we start with the hard questions
Yeah.
and then we lighten up later
Deodorant
on.
was the hardest question
I
ever.
know. We're like
There's a lot
reversing
of
it
choices,
today.
isn't there?
But what was your first reaction when the governor called you or set up the meeting and said, I want you to be a heartbeat away from the governorship of the state of Arizona?
Well, this has been kind of a rumor, frankly, for a while. I mean, we've known for a couple of years now that this was going to happen, and I remember, even back when I was still the mayor, people said, if Katie Hobbs was smart, she would get somebody that bridges the gap, the political gap, and you might be one of those people. And we kind of laughed about it, and this has been a kind of just a running, that's not going to happen. But that's, there's some merit to that idea. And then it got real when she actually called me and said, would you do this? And so it went from being a concept to actually something very, very exciting. My spot is kind of nonpartisan politics, right? And so I thought when I was done with the mayor, I was done, because there's just not a lot of other opportunities to serve in that capacity. I'm so proud I'm not saying this because she's sitting right here, but what a remarkable and untraditional thing that she's done by picking somebody outside her party to be her running mate.
Did you know each other before?
Yes.
Yes.
I endorsed her 4 years ago. I had the privilege of working with her closely when I was the mayor. I've always been keeping very close tabs on her, hoping she didn't embarrass me.
Yeah.
And so no, we've had a good relationship for years.
Well,
So-
the great sorry,
Go ahead,
Celeste.
go ahead,
The
Bob.
great thing about this show is we're interactive with the audience. And it just came in a minute or two ago from Carla. She says, Governor, what have you done so far to try to bring down the cost of health care?
That is a great question. And quite honestly, I would say that healthcare is one of the issues that keeps me up at night. And I've been concerned about this since before Washington passed H.R. 1, the Washington budget that is going to cut healthcare for so many Arizonans. We have vast areas across the state that are healthcare deserts where people have to travel miles and hours to get to care, even basic care. And that doesn't even start touching specialty care that is unavailable in so many areas. We know that so many Arizonans are already are struggling with access to healthcare. But I have worked to lower prescription drugs costs with AZRX. That's helping with part of the problem with healthcare. And then I canceled medical debt for over $1 billion of medical debt for over 600,000 Arizonans, because I know that medical debt is something that people don't knowingly go into, and it's such a hindrance for so many households being able to meet their basic needs.
So this will be the first time the lieutenant governor will be voted into office. What will you do? What does your day look like? And does that, lift your load a little bit? What do you plan to do?
Well, you're right. I think we both feel a sense of responsibility of kicking this off in a good way, having it to be something that obviously is adding value to what the executive is doing. One more. There's one governor, right? And there will only ever be one governor, but she's under intense pressure from all over the state, along with her chief of staff. And if you add another person that can be maybe interact with issues and people, that's going to be a good thing. So,
go ahead.
Well, so as mayor, I focus a lot on economic development, on education, on public safety. These are all obviously at the top of Governor Hobbs' agenda as well.
What did you learn, though, in your time as mayor about creating affordable housing? Because that's right up there with the overall cost of living.
Well, quite a bit, actually. I mean, most city council meetings the bulk of them have to do with the zoning and real estate lawyers and housing developers. I mean, that's who our bread and butter, that's what we deal with, we wrestle with all day long as local government. So these are issues that I'm very, very familiar with, and I'm excited to bring some innovative ideas to that topic.
You know, we have a question from Celia Jones, Governor. She says, I have heard good things about your no tax on tips policy, but I want to know specifically how you think it will help Arizona workers and businesses.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have been really proud all 4 years as governor to sign budgets that cut taxes for Arizonans. This year, the biggest one, $1.4 billion tax cut for middle-class Arizonans, including the no tax on tips and overtime policy, an additional $6,000 credit for seniors, expanded child care credit, and a couple other things. So the no tax on tips and overtime, I think, is really important because many people who work in those jobs, they have less income. And so this puts more money back in their pockets, and they're not having to claim taxes on that extra income.
Some have said this could be a wave election, and frequently that is what we see in the off-year elections. If Democrats take control of both the House and Senate and want you to raise taxes, would you do so? Would you pledge to not raise taxes?
We are not talking about, nobody's talking about raising taxes. I know right now that Arizonans are struggling to make ends meet, and the government has to live within the limits that we have. We will look for ways to enhance revenue that don't involve dipping into Arizonans' pockets. And, you know, I think that when Arizonans are living on a budget, the state has to live on a budget too.
Well, I think on the minds of a lot of Arizonans across a lot of different polls talked about the issue of water. Doug Ducey had talked about one of the former governors, a desalination plant. I know there's one in San Diego and Carlsbad. What's your plan looking forward on how Arizona can help with the water issue, you know, for the next many decades?
Yeah, we have to look at all solutions that are available to us, and in the long-term plan to make sure that water is sustainable and protected for generations in Arizona, augmentation has to be part of that, and desalination is probably the biggest scale of augmentation that is available. We have challenges. We are not on an ocean like San Diego, and so it means partnerships either internationally or across state lines to make that work. And we have to ensure that whatever we invest in for augmentation keeps water affordable for Arizonans who need it.
So Nevada sued within days. What's your decision-making is that still an option? Why has Arizona not sued?
Well, right now there's not anything to sue over. We were able to get this plan from the federal government that shares cuts, that protects Arizona from taking all of those cuts. Those cuts are shared among the 3 lower basin states. So we're looking at what Nevada's sued over and trying to figure out still if this 2-year plan is going to continue to move forward. That's where our focus is. And we're not taking any options off the table to ensure that we're protecting our fair share of water because it's so important to Arizona's economic future. But right now, we're focused on that 2-year plan and then moving forward.
And how are you guys working with maybe like some of the farmers down in Yuma County? And is that something that you would handle, Governor, or how would you get involved in some of these issues as well?
So we've been in really close communication with all of the Colorado River water users as we've been at the negotiating table with the upper basin, with all the states and the federal government. The farmers are an important part of that. And so we've been making plans for how we will implement these cuts that we're going to take with all of the water users. And we've been really focused on how we can make sure we're all focused on the interests of Arizona and protecting our share of Colorado River water. And moving forward, that communication collaboration is going to continue to be important.
We have a lot of people voting in our poll question this morning, and if you want to vote, there's the QR code. How important is it to see the candidates? What's that, Dave?
Don't show YouTube.
Okay. How important is it to see the governor candidates debate? That number really hasn't moved very much. It's close to 80% saying it's very important. Voters deserve to see it. 1% saying somewhat, might help me decide. 20% are saying it's not important, I've already decided. Before we get your reaction to that, take a listen to what your opponent, Andy Biggs, had to say.
It's a shame that she's not going to be willing to debate. I think she should come on and defend her record. And so instead of issuing false snipes like that, we could actually have a debate about real policy issues. I think that's important. And I guess the third thing that I'd say is she says that she doesn't want to debate. She wants to get out and meet with Arizonans. Guess what? I've been out meeting with Arizonans from every part of the state, every corner of the state, and somehow I think I can find time to come and have a debate with the current governor, and I'll defend my policies and we'll question hers. It's a shame that she's a little bit cowardly, it seems to me.
Oof, those are strong words. Your response?
Look, I have said this many times, and I stand firmly on this, that I think that face-to-face interactions with real Arizonans are a more effective way to communicate and to get my positions across and to hear from them about what they want from their governor. I've had more than 100 open press events just this year, and we're not even in the really thick of campaign season yet, so that's only going to get increased. But like, I'm here right now, and you're taking questions from the audience, and that's a great way to hear directly from Arizonans. That's not the kind of thing that happens on a debate stage. A debate stage is designed for sound bites and political theater, and Andy Biggs is not taking hard questions from the press. He's hiding from his record of protecting a pedophile cult and supporting Washington's cost hiking agenda that's raising costs on Arizonans. And he has also not shown up for a lot of debates during his entire tenure running for Congress.
John, what are your your thoughts on debate?
Well, the last debate I watched was the Republican gubernatorial primary debate, and I remember thinking at the end of it, who do I talk to get an hour of my life back? Because it was not a productive use of anyone's time, frankly. It was just about theater and drama and sound bites and snarkiness. And it was not. I agree with the poll responders that we do want to know more about the governor's candidates, and as the governor indicated, the best way to do that is to do what we're doing right now.
Do you think, though, it's important? The idea of debating goes back to Greek times, right? The history, many decades and centuries, goes back a long time. Do you think it's important too to see our potential leaders? In a tough situation, responding to hard questions from opponents, and knowing how to stay calm and collected in a heated environment?
Yes, and I think that we're not trying to avoid that. I mean, that's what's happening now. That's what's going to happen every day for the next 70 days before the voters get to choose.
You're not calling this a heated environment.
No.
Okay, so the first time we had the governor in with us, we learned a little bit more about her, how she'd get up on a Saturday morning and go, how many miles on your bike?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It depends on the day.
Depends on the day. So give us your quick bio here for people who maybe don't live in Mesa and maybe are familiar with you. Kids, grandkids, number one favorite hobby.
Favorite restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
All that.
Man. Well, born and raised in Mesa, Arizona, married to Dawn, 5 kids, 10 grandkids.
Better get that one right.
That's right. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 10 grandkids. And that's what I enjoy doing, is spending time with my family. Thankfully, 9 of our 10 grandkids live in Mesa, so it's a big full house every Sunday for dinner. When I'm not spending time with my family, I enjoy being outdoors. In the past, I've been like the governor, a biker, and did triathlons and marathons, and now I'm embraced the dad bod phase of my life, but still like to get out and go for a hike and a walk, and then I also like to eat. Ron, a little hobby of mine is doing videos about going to lunch with mayors in different parts of the state.
Oh, nice.
And I love to explore
channel.
rural.
Oh, it's a YouTube channel. What's the name of it?
Oh, he's a YouTuber.
Well, it's a very creative name. It's called Lunch with the Mayor. And I go to Bisbee and Douglas and Flagstaff, and I say, Mayor, where's the best place to go to lunch?
Oh,
and then we go.
That's a great idea. Maybe Michelin should call you.
Michelin
Maybe
absolutely
should
should call me.
We need some stars from Michelin. Don't get us started on that. Do you have a favorite hike in Arizona?
I spent with the Hobbs Trail, Ron, out in Tonto National Forest and Usery Park is where that's where you'll typically
Governor,
find me.
where do you go to get away? If it's in Arizona, you want to get out of the city. Do you have a favorite spot?
My favorite hike is West Fork in Oak Creek.
It's a beautiful hike.
My favorite place to just go hang out on a weekend is Flagstaff. But I hate saying that because, it's like picking your favorite kid. I'm the governor of Arizona. There's so many great places in Arizona.
Yeah. Here come the phone calls from Payson.
No, I know. I
Right.
love it. I love so many
Bernie.
places. I went to NAU. I'm a lumberjack. Flagstaff always has a special place in my
Flagstaff
heart.
has grown up a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Excellent time with you guys. Thanks again. We hope
Thank
you
you
come see
both.
us.
Thank you,
We got
thank
Thank you.
at least a couple more months here.
Yeah.
So we'll see you soon.
We'll come back even after the election.
Okay, good. Yeah, we got potentially 4 years. All right, we'll be right back.